after the loss against West Virginia, Eli talked about on the first play that fumble. There was some miscommunication between him and the line. Where did some of that stem from?
It was my fault. Like it wasn't him. Nothing he did. Something that we've gone over plenty of times, and I know what the call is, and I don't know if I was just hyped up because of the game or whatnot, but I ran out there and, there was a chip and he went right inside, so it won't happen again.
Ryan, with a little extra time during this bye, what are some of the details, some of the things you guys are really harping on?
Just being stronger up front. We really got to work our pass protection. I think we gave up 5 sacks last week, which obviously isn't good enough and it's not our standard. So really focus on just extra strain, like just that little extra, when they hit quarterback depth, they're going to counter back inside. So just finishing just throughout till that ball is gone and then chasing the ball after it's out. So.
Ryan, how would you describe the locker room in practice of these past couple weeks letting the loss sit?
It's a 24-hour rule. It's what we've always had here. You have the next day to be mad about it and watch the film, but once you're done watching the film, it's over. It doesn't matter what the game is. You just got to be ready for the next one. The next one is the biggest one. So
You've talked about being a leader this offseason and coming into this year. What have you done, maybe specifically these past 2 weeks, to try to get the guys back on track?
Obviously, just got to lead by example. I got to show that I'm willing to do the little extra details, chase after the ball or push piles and all that. And I'm not always the biggest vocal guy, but I try my best. Just keep everyone going.
Ryan, how do you think Joe Ellis is kind of settling in, and you kind of get a feeling like he's starting to feel comfortable with the offense?
Oh, yeah, I think Joe Ellis is a really good football player. I think we saw that in the bowl game. I think he started to show up a little bit, and I think he's slowly building more and more confidence the more he's getting reps. And, I think he's going to be really good. So.
You mentioned the pass protection's got to be better, but how did you guys feel you guys did in the run game? West Virginia so far this season?
It could always be better. I know we want to be more explosive, but, you also want to get more just 5-yard runs, chip at them. And I feel like, we're either getting a 10-yarder or a 2-yarder, and it's bringing our average to around 4 or 5, but we need more of just those consistent fives. We need to start creating bigger holes, getting to the second level, and connecting with linebackers. So.
On one drive, on one red zone appearance with 2 false starts, I know it was on the left side of the line, but just in general, when that happens, when there's a couple plays in a row where you take penalties on the O-line, how do you guys usually correct that, go about fixing that?
It's just kind of you got to lock in. It was loud out there, obviously, and hard to hear the snap count sometimes. And, people are all yelling. The defense is making their calls too. So you just got to really hone in. And, we're Power 4 football players. You got to, hone in on the little things and listen to the snap count. But it's going to happen.
On tape, how have you seen Louisville use their speed defensively?
Really good on the edges, for sure. They're DNs. I know they got a really good DN transfer from Coastal Carolina. He's looked pretty good these last 3 games, and not just as a pass rusher, but you see him in the run as well. He's really a high IQ guy. Sometimes they like to read, and you'll see him read and come all the way over the top to go make a play. So they're a really high motor defense. If a play breaks out and it's a scramble drill, they're all going to chase. So we have to counter that by us chasing too and playing high motor.
Some of the penalties that you guys took, especially on offense 2 weeks ago, does that limit what you can do in the run game? Does that put you in bad situations?
Being first and 15, second and 15, that you got to gain some yards back, so it's hard to run in those situations for sure. And it kind of lets the defense pin their ears back because they're expecting pass in those long yardage situations. But we just got to keep ourselves out of backed up situations and keep it in 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 6 and better than that. So
it's a little off the game, but Aaron Donald is going to be honored. His number's going to be retired later. As a kid, did you watch him and kind of glad, okay, I never had to go against that guy?
When he was in the NFL?
Yeah.
Oh, I think, yeah. Obviously someone like that, 2 defensive or 3? 3, yeah. He was just dominant. That's not something you really see, especially out of a D tackle, his ability to rush a passer, and especially while getting double teamed and triple teamed. So, I'm sure there's a lot of offensive linemen happy he's not in the league anymore. So.
You've ever had a chance to meet him?
Oh yeah, when sometimes we see him in the weight room, and obviously Elliott was on the team that when I was here, and just seeing him in the weight room, they would work out together, and just being able to talk to him. Whenever alumni come back in the NFL, it's always great to pick their brains and talk to them.
Francis can do some pretty crazy stuff in the weight room. Is that
I would assume so. Yeah, I've seen Aaron pick up some crazy weight, and I've seen Francis do the same. So.
Very final. Ryan, thank you.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Ryan, you referenced it a little bit, but what are some of the keys to open up or cracking some of those explosive runs that he was talking about?
Really just straining every play, just like you said, getting to the second level because that makes a difference. The running back doesn't have to make another guy miss; just got to make that one guy miss. So just really getting to the second level, just finishing and straining every play.
You say straining. What does that mean?
It's just like another word for just finishing every play. Just don't let up on the block. If you can pancake them, stuff like that.
You can't have a ton of contact in practice, so how do you kind of perfect that in a practice setting?
Honestly, I feel like we have contact in practice. It doesn't matter if it shells, full pads in the trenches. It's the same thing. Just always it's the same thing to me. So I feel like we do.
But Joel, how do you go about as a line building a relationship with a running back? Like, how do you guys kind of work that?
Ever since he got here, me and Joel have been cool. He's always been in here, always working hard. And, you've seen it from spring ball. He's starting to just elevate up. And, I feel like he's a great back that we have. I really like him.
Is it different blocking for him versus blocking for a guy like that? He's crazy fast.
They both can make some crazy plays. So, whoever's back there, they all have the potential to make that big play.
This offense under Kate Bell's been talked a lot about. Obviously, want to go fast, play with tempo. Do you feel like through the first 3 games you guys have played as fast as you could, or you still feel like there's some room to grow in that area?
I feel like there's always some room to grow in there. We can always pick it up some. So I feel like, just practicing more, just honing in on it a little more, that'll make us pick it up.
You feel it? Because West Virginia, it seemed like, offensively, they were starting to play with a lot of tempo and really knocking back the Pitt defense. Do you feel like that's something you guys can do and maybe something that was missing in that West Virginia game?
Yeah, we for sure can do that. That's why Coach Bell came in here. That was his thing, just tempo. So I feel like over the course of the season, we're definitely gonna pick that up.
Talking to Ryan, obviously, about that first play that he allowed a rusher inside. Is that something you can help him with, pick up, or were you already on an assignment with someone else in that line?
Maybe just communicate more with him. Just tell him, don't just go out there like that. I can definitely just help him. Just get in his ear more. Just tell him.
What's the solution to some of the penalties that you guys had? A lot of last week, a lot of the red zone. How do you go about correcting those?
Like Baer said, we just got to lock in, holding on little details because those things matter. Those things get you beat.
Ryan mentioned the 24-hour rule. How's the bounce back been with the group after that game?
Since the bye week, we kind of know that shouldn't have happened. So we just got to keep working, locking in, just finishing every play, just doing the extra things that can help us win.
And then I'm going to ask you as well about Aaron. Did you watch him and what are some of the things technically that he did that you look at impressed with?
Yeah, he's just a freak. He's like 6 foot, but he has a lot of power behind that 6 foot. He has that natural leverage. So I don't think anybody would want to block him one-on-one for sure.
BJ, thank you.
Thanks, BJ.